be detained, you'll be deported. Put the Navy in the Channel, we'll do it. It's inconceivable that a reform government won't stop the boats. Everything. It was a complete bin fire. The place was on its knees. And yeah, maybe I was radicalised, but I was radicalised by the facts. Rachel from accounts, she's just not up to the job. I'm sorry.
Just between me and you, who is the Labour defector? Go on, you can tell me.
I was Liz Truss's bag carrier at one stage. The mini budget was a complete disaster.
She thinks you're a Trojan horse.
A Trojan horse.
Yeah.
Something wooden wrecks things from within. I think that's Liz Truss, isn't it? Summed up. It made me angry that the Conservative government, and frankly the whole political class, had conspired to allow this to happen and didn't have the backbone to sort it out.
I heard that you cried when you were given the immigration minister job
From Kemi.
because the policy was too harsh. So you didn't cry?
Total and utter bollocks. I have...
And by the way, Kemi did not tell me that. Kemi didn't tell me that.
Well, somebody in one of her cronies, I saw said that. I mean, for God's sake, you almost got me to swear then. Look, total rubbish. I actually spent a year of my life working bloody hard to try and fix immigration. Got the small boats down by a third. Nobody else has done that before or since. Started to close these hotels, 100 of them. We got closed and made a difference. But it wasn't enough, was it? At the end of the day, it wasn't to me, 30% reduction in small boats. Hallelujah. Let's rest on my laurels. I don't want a single person crossing the channel on a small boat. You know, none, zero. I want to end this thing. And that was the argument that I took to Rishi, who was the Prime Minister, and said to him, the only way to fix this is detain and deport everyone who comes here illegally. You'll only be able to do this if you either leave the ECHR or, as I was advocating back then, pass a law that just kind of hives it out so it doesn't apply to immigration, and end this farce once and for all. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. He was more worried about his reputation and respectability, so he can swan around the world today as he does, going to conferences, sitting on the board of Goldman Sachs, you know, going to fancy dinner parties and having Times columnists write nice things about him, than the interest of the British public. And I think that's shameful. I never respect people who behave like that. I'm much more interested in, can I hold my head up high if I walk down the high street in Epping and see the mums and the grandmothers who are out on those protests, and they're willing to give me a hearing because they think maybe didn't do everything right, but I try my best to protect them and their children and their grandchildren, than what people might say about me in, you know, the columns of left-wing newspapers or at international law conferences in years to come.
Yeah. What was it you saw in the Home Office that made you change so much?
Everything. It was a complete bin fire. The place was on its knees. You know, you had thousands of people coming across the channel. In fact, the government had created a taxi service where they were being essentially picked up and brought to the UK. You had, because no one had prepared for this, you're having to take on all these hotels because it was a straight choice. Do you want people just sleeping rough on the streets of our cities? Or do you want to stick them in hotels? I mean, that's the judgment of Solomon, isn't it? Which is worse? Hard to say. You had then, you know, billions of pounds being spent on all of this stuff, and crime as well as a result of it, because some of these people were people with very different attitudes towards women and girls. I mean, not everybody, obviously, but, you know, if you bring across a lot of young men from parts of the world where they just don't have the same values and traditions that we have, then don't be surprised if that leads to really bad things happening to Brits. And I was shocked this had happened. Total complacency and failure within the department. And Suella was my boss at the time, and the two of us felt passionate about it and set out to do everything that we could. And yeah, maybe I was radicalised, but I was radicalised by the facts. And I challenge anyone to see that and just turn a blind eye to it. And unlike some of the other ministers who'd been in the department, I didn't just sit in the department and look at stuff.
Yeah.
I went out to actually see. I wanted to go and meet the residents and the council estate at the top of the cliffs of Dover, who had migrants turn up in their garden or in their kitchens in the days when the boats did land on the beaches. I went to the people who were living next door to the asylum hotels in Peterborough and Stoke, and heard from their views. You know, people who bought their dream home in Birmingham and then suddenly found an HMO opened next door to it with 10 young men from Afghanistan, and then their house suddenly was worth half or unsellable. You know, because who wanted to buy that? And when I heard those people, it made me angry that the Conservative government and frankly the whole political class had conspired to allow this to happen and didn't have the backbone to sort it out.
You talk about your boss there, or former boss, Suella Braverman. She seems as radical as you. Actually, she seems more radical.
Probably,
than you. Yeah. Is she a name you wouldn't mind following you across to reform?
Well, honestly, I don't know. I don't know what her views are. She is a Conservative MP, but I have very high respect for Suella. She was right on a whole series of important issues, and maligned for it at the time. She called out the hate marches that were going through London after October the 7th. People criticised her for saying that when she spoke in vivid terms about the small boats as an invasion. She was speaking for a lot of people in the country, wasn't she? And that would not be criticised today. I think people would say that was right. And I remember when she spoke about the grooming gangs and said that this was predominantly men of Pakistani origin preying on young white working class girls. She was criticised. There were even complaints made about the Telegraph, who'd published an article that she wrote on it to the regulator. I mean, she's been vindicated on these issues, so she was prescient and brave, and I respect that.
So you'd like to see her follow you to reform?
Well, I would like to continue to work with Suella, but honestly, I have no insight into her thinking.
No, but I'm asking what she thinks. I'm asking what you think.
No, of course, she's one of the people I respect, and I think she has a lot to offer.
Just say it. Just say you'd love to see her join reform.
Well, I've said. I think I've said that.
No, you haven't. You've said she's great. You've said how amazing she is. You haven't said you'd like to see her join reform.
No, she and I go back a very long way. I would like to be on the same side as her, but I don't want to give the false impression that.
But you know something. I know.
No, I know something because I really don't.
No,
and,
I think she's.
It's entirely up to her.
I think she would be great at reform. I can say that. Yeah, I'm not saying that she wants to join, but you would love to see her. You'd love to work with her again. You'd love her to come and join you guys at reform.
Of course I would do. And look, you know, there are good people in the Tory party. Not everyone. You know, I mean, not saying they're bad people, but they don't agree. They don't share the values of reform. But there's definitely a group of Conservative MPs who do, who have often been ignored and disregarded, and if they wanted to join reform, then I'm sure they'd be very welcome.
Back at the Home Office, what were the civil servants like? Were you up against a brick wall of lefties?
There's some good people, some people who just weren't very competent, often more cock-up than conspiracy, in my experience. But it isn't a department that really functions properly. You can see that, can't you? Because you know, to this day, stuff happens all the time. I remember over Christmas when we heard that this Egyptian extremist El Fattah had come into the country. Starmer was out on the media celebrating that this sort of hero had been brought to the UK. A 5-minute examination of his Twitter account revealed that he'd said all sorts of terrible things, anti-Semitic, racist. He said the police deserve to die. Downing Street should be burnt down. Yeah, you know how the officials at the Home Office could have granted this man citizenship, and then the officials at the Foreign Office advised Home Secretaries and Prime Ministers to go out to bat for this bloke. Yeah, when he should never have stepped foot on British soil in the first place, let alone be a citizen of our country. So there is something rotten, I'm afraid, in the Home Office, and that needs to change.
Why aren't we able just to sack civil servants who, as you say, are doing cock-ups?
Well, we should be. There needs to be a culture of accountability, which is what you see in all other walks of life, don't you? I mean, like, if you screw up, you'd be out the door. If you work in any private sector business, that's the way.
That's it.
That's it. That's the way it works, and it creates a sense of jeopardy, doesn't it? It pushes you work harder and to get things right.
If nobody watches this video, I'm getting fired. So make sure you share and spread it around.
I'll get my mum to watch it.
So the civil servants, they're not doing some.
Well, there are. I don't want to besmirch. Look, everyone. There are good people in the civil service, but overall, in recent years, the culture has been one which has prized diversity over meritocracy, and has not rewarded people who take risks, stick their necks on the line, try and really get things done. It's prized people who just sort of keep their head down, follow the rules, don't do anything to really change things. And that's been very corrosive and has meant that in these tough departments, like the Home Office, they've really let people down. Okay.
Let's say you guys get in government, now there's no excuses. How are you going to stop migration?
Well, on legal migration, we've been very clear. We're going to have a legally binding cap. We're going to set it as low as possible, net zero or lower. In the past, I've argued for what I've called net emigration, where more people leave every year than come in. So you give the country a period of breathing space. I think we can do that. People who are here illegally need to leave. And so there is going to be deportations on a very big scale, and you should be prepared that if you don't have the right to live here, you should either leave before there is a reform government, or you are going to be deported from this country. I think that's perfectly fair. And then on the small boats, we're going to do what's necessary, and that means scrapping the ECHR, the outdated human rights laws, bringing those back to our own parliament, ensuring that this merry-go-round of legal appeals comes to an end. You'll be detained, you'll be deported back home to your own country or to a third country. And frankly, if you need to do more than that, put the Navy in the Channel, whatever it might be, we'll do it. It's inconceivable that a reform government won't stop the boats. It has to be. That is the single most important thing the government has to do and will do.
Okay. Look, the first time I met you in real life was a couple of years ago on an anti-Semitism march in London. I remember Vanessa Feltz saying, oh, he talks very well, doesn't he? He speaks very eloquently when you're up on stage. You have lost weight since then. You're in better shape. You've got a nicer haircut. Yes,
Thank you.
Much slicker than you were 2.5 years ago.
Well, I've not quite got your glasses and the handkerchief. She'd take me shopping.
We can do it as long as you're paying. What is your secret?
Well, recently it's just been a bit of exercise. So I go running now a couple of times a week, which I find a great stress reliever as well. Yeah. Play sports. I do a bit of boxing. I play tennis and so on with my kids. And I haven't quite managed to get out of my bad habits in terms of eating. So I'm still at Greg's getting my sausage roll.
Yeah, that's actually true. He was in Greg's this morning before coming in here.
But I think I less of them than I used to.
So you're not taking, as Trump would call it, the fat pills.
I did try them at one point, and
did it work?
They did work. They did work. They got me going, so I wouldn't decry them, because when you're overweight, you often need something to get you started, and it definitely worked for me. But I wouldn't want to do them for
life,
for a long time. Yeah, and I fortunately didn't have to.
You're very vocal about how great your wife is. She's been very important in your life and about your decisions.
Very lucky.
She's given you 3 beautiful children. How important is the nuclear family to the success of Britain?
Is everything, really, isn't it? I mean, I grew up in a family that was very, very tight. Life wasn't always easy. My mum and dad struggled with a small business where things were often tough. But it was an incredibly loving family, and our home and home life was everything to us. And I've been lucky enough to replicate that for my wife and my kids. And families come in all different shapes and sizes, don't they? But it's very important to try to have that, and if government can play its part in that, then it should do.
And what do you do to relax? You're not playing Candy Crush, obviously, but
no, I do doom scroll too much. I watch telly, like watching sport. These days, didn't used to, but these days get out exercising a lot. I've always loved going out into the countryside. I'm a stickler for forcing my kids to go for country walks, which they don't like.
Yeah.
It's fair to say. And just hanging out with them. It's they're at that age where it's just wonderful to spend time with them.
All right, final part of the interview. Quick fire. Tell me what you think of these names. Priti Patel.
Lovely lady. Don't agree with the points-based system, though.
Okay. Michael Gove.
He was probably the most effective minister of the last Conservative government when he was Education Secretary. Made a huge difference to the lives of people.
Liz Truss.
I was Liz Truss's bag carrier at one stage, sort of private secretary. And we had a lot of fun together. I think the points-based, the mini budget was a complete disaster, to be honest. And
She thinks you're a Trojan horse. She
for
thinks
what?
for I don't know for whom, but she's like, he's gone to reform, but who's really controlling him?
Yes.
Trojan horse? Question mark?
Trojan horse.
Yeah.
Something wooden. That
See where this is going.
wrecks things from within. I think that's Liz Truss, isn't it? Summed up.
Wes Streeting.
I knew Wes a little bit at university.
Oh yeah. Was he like how he is now then?
He was a student politician.
Okay.
Yeah. He's a good bloke. I mean, he's one of the more talented people in the Labour Party.
Yeah.
Bit of a disappointment as health secretary because he talked the talk that he was going to reform the NHS, and I don't see any evidence of that. I mean, he scrapped this Quango NHS England about a year ago, and the last thing I read, he hadn't even handed out the redundancy notices to the staff. So he hasn't really delivered yet. If I was him, I'd just focus on being a good health secretary and impressing people rather than running around trying to get Keir Starmer's job.
David Lammy.
Calamity Lammy.
Rachel Reeves.
Oh, Rachel from accounts. I mean, I do think she's just not up to the job. I'm sorry to say that, but I don't have a lot of sympathy for Rachel because she did tell lies before the general election. That's the root of it, isn't it? She said she wasn't going to raise people's taxes, from the farmers to small businesses. She's done precisely the opposite of what she said she was going to do.
Yeah.
She's talked the economy down. People are under immense pressure now. Rich people are leaving the country. Pensioners are hard up. You name it. And she has to take responsibility for the failings of this government.
Boris Johnson.
Good bloke to have a night out with. I wouldn't recommend he comes back to British politics.
And last,
the big problems. Well, look, what are the problems of the country today?
Yeah.
Out of control immigration, net zero madness.
Yeah.
It's deindustrializing the country and impoverishing people, and taxes at the highest level ever.
And
I'm sorry, Boris was at the heart of all of those mistakes.
Okay, last name, Kate Hoey.
Great woman. Great woman.
She'd be great for reform, wouldn't she?
She would, but she said that she's not the.
She's not the defector.
She's not the defector. She's not actually as a Labour peer. Actually,
no.
She sits as an independent because she very bravely quit the Labour Party over Brexit and Corbyn and everything that happened, and so she's a very good woman I have a lot of time for.
So listen, just between me and you, who is the Labour defector? Go on, you can tell me.
You'll have to wait. Nigel doesn't tell me everything anyway. So,
Robert Jenrick, thank you very much for your time today.
It's good to be here. Thanks very much.
Awesome. Indeed. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and don't forget to leave all your comments below. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye. Well, if you enjoyed part 2, make sure you go back and look at part 1. The link is in the description. Jenrick is forthright on his defection, what actually happened that morning when he was fired. He talks about Nigel Farage and his relationship, often troubled, with Kemi Badenoch.